Friends, please do remember what the time limits extension I am discussing is equally applicable even in respect to the assessments which are pending on July 1st, 2012. It's not that these time limits are only with respect to the future assessments. Even in case if a particular assessment is pending as on July 1st, 2012, this extended time limit is applicable even with respect to those assessments also. And the same time limit extension happened even under the wealth tax also. Now, let me move to a particular example, take up a particular example to make your understanding a more meaningful understanding, and for that purpose let us go to this particular example. Let me read the example. For the assessment year 11 and 12, please carefully listen. Even if that example is not there in your hand, please carefully listen. For assessment year 2011 and 12, assessment order under section 143(3) or 144 can be made up to what time? Can be made up to what time? From the end of the assessment year, 24 months you are talking about. So till 31/3/2014. That is, your assessment year 11 and 12 is ending on which date? 12th March, 31st March of the 2012. From there 24 months means what? 31/3/2014. The service of the order under section 143(3) or 144 may take place after 31/3/2014, but the order must be made on or before 31/3/2014. See, when we talk about the time limit for completion of the assessment, it is not that the order must be handed over to the SSE. Point here is, you first sign that particular assessment order within the time limit, and once the assessment order is passed and signed within the time limit, even after that particular time limit also it can be served on the SSE. Because in case if the SSE is in foreign country, you are not able to serve it, that does not mean that you have lost the time limit. What is the time limit we are discussing is only with respect to the signing of that particular assessment order. It has to be done well within the time limit as a point. Then for assessment year 2011 and 12, one more example. The due date of filing the return was 30/9/2011. The assessment filed, the SSE filed the return on 31/3/2013. Actually, for 11 and 12 assessment year, previous year is what? 10 and 11 is a previous year, 11 and 12 is the assessment year. Let us suppose the SSE is subjected to the tax audit, then the time limit for filing the income tax return is what? 30/9/2011. But cool well, this fellow has filed the return belatedly on 31/3/2013. Can he file it? Yes. A belated return can be filed up to 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year or before completion of the assessment, whichever is earlier. So he has cool well filed it on 31/3/2013. Now the assessing officer issued a notice under section 143(2), and the said notice is served on the SSE on 30/9/2013. Now in the above case, assessment under section 143(3) should be completed when? On or before 31/3/2014. Because what is the assessment year? 2011 and 12. From then 2 years, from the end of the relevant assessment year, 24 months means 2 years. So from 31/3/2012, 2 years runs till 31/3/2014. By then your regular assessment under 143(3) should be completed. Now I move to the one more example. For the assessment year 2007 and 8, the assessment was completed on 10/12/2008 under section 143(3). Assessing the income at 5 lakhs. Now क्या हुआ? On 30th 3/2014, the assessing officer issues a notice that income of 90,000 has escaped the assessment for the assessment year 2007 and 8 and issues a notice under section 148 on that date. The said notice is served on the SC on 4th April 2014. The assessing officer completes the reassessment under section 147 on 31/3/2016. Examine the validity of the actions of the assessing officer. Like such questions bound to come in the CA final exam. Friends, try to understand. First of all, you have to check whether there is a time limit for issuing the notice. See, if the income escaped the assessment and the notice is to be issued for reassessment, then even for single rupee of income escaping the assessment, notice can be issued for 4 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. If the income escaping the assessment is 1 lakh or more than 1 lakh, then for 6 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. What is the relevant assessment year? 2007 and 8. Income escaping the assessment is how much? What is it? 90,000. So what is the 4 years period? What is the 4 years period is 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12. So the time limit for issuing the notice to take up the case for reassessment is only till 31st March 2012. Now when the notice is issued on the SSE, when the notice is issued on the SSE, you have to check. It is being served on 4th April 2014. Can they do so? Because the income is less than 1 lakh, they can't do so, and subsequently they have completed the assessment on 31/3/2016. Can they do so that? So look at, as per the provisions of section 149(1), notice under section 148 could have been issued only up to 31/3/2012. Hence the notice issued on 30th/3/2014 is a time barred one and is invalid. Therefore reassessment done under section 147 is invalid. So the questions are being framed in the CA final examination, checking the knowledge of the student, that whether he can write with his understanding whether the notice issued is a valid notice or not. For you to check that, first you should have a knowledge of whether what is the time within which the notice is to be given. I am not making you to write anything here. Now friends, I move to the next example. Please try to understand why I am spending so much of the time on this is because this is what the core part which is going to be tested in the CA final examination from the assessment procedures. Generally, this is one topic which the students always feel that is difficult, but in fact it is not difficult. Only thing is you have to love that particular subject, then automatically you will be able to get the knowledge and apply that knowledge to the practical scenario. So how the questions are going to come? First, if you are aware of it, then fear automatically will come down in you. As long as the time limits are there in your mind, time limits also please don't by heart it like 12 months, 24 months. What is most important is how to calculate the 12 months, how to calculate the 24 months, how to calculate that 4 years, from which date I have to calculate that 4 years. That is most important. So look at, for assessment year 2007 and 8, the assessment was completed on 20th/11/2009. Very good. Under section 144. Now what is 144? Best judgment assessment. Assessing the income at how many lakhs? 6 lakhs. On 4/6/2013, assessing officer notices that income of 1,10,000 has escaped the assessment and he issues a notice under section 148 on that particular date. The notice is served on the SSE on 10th April 2014. By what time can the assessing officer can complete the assessment or complete the reassessment under section 147? Just now we have studied So we will definitely remember, because notice, that is what is the time limit for completion of the assessments? If it is 148 assessment as 147 reassessment, earlier it is 9 months from the end of the financial year in which the notice is served. Now it is 12 months from the end of the month, from the end of the financial year in which the notice is served. So what is when the notice is served, friends? When the notice is served on 4/6/2013, the assessing officer served the notice. So 4/6/2013 falls in which financial year? Financial year of 13 and 14. So from then 12 months means, what is it? Your 31st March tak. Let us look at, as per the provisions of section 149, notice under section 148 could have been issued up to 31/3/2014. First of all, you have to check whether notice is a valid notice or not. Whether notice is a valid notice or not. See, for that you have to see this particular notice pertains to which assessment year's income? 2007 and 8 income. 2007 and 8 assessment year. Now what is the income escaping the assessment? 1,10,000, more than 1 lakh. So for 6 years you can issue the notice. Means 2007 and 8, from that end of that 31st March 2008, 6 years means what? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So till, what is it, 31st March 2014 you can issue the notice. So since the assessing officer served the notice on 4/6/2013, it is a very well valid notice. Now the reassessment under section 147 can be completed up to what time? Up to 31/3/2016 as per the provisions of section 153. 2 is a point. So when we look at the time limits, what is the time limit says? Just let us go back. That is your 148, 9 months from the end of the financial year in which the notice is issued. Whereas if it is a case of 148 along with the 92 CA, then 21 months. Now the present amended is 12 months and 24 months. Now in the present case which we are discussing here is like the answer says that it can be done till, what is it, 31st March 2016. We are under the assumption that it also involves 92 CA also, 148 along with the 92 CA. Next example is, for the assessment year 2007 and 8, assessment was completed on 31/3/2009. Very good. Under which section? Under section 143(3). Now the assessing officer notices on 31st March 2012 that the income of 45,000 has escaped the assessment for the said year and issues the notice under section 148 on that particular date. Now can he do so? First of all, what is the assessment year? 7 and 8. And what is the income escaping the assessment? Less than 1 lakh. That means for 4 years. 4 years means 9th 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. So when the notice is issued, 31st March 2012, perfectly a good notice. Now the said notice was served on the SSC on 31/3/2012, while assessing the income on 30th/9/2012, he finds another income of 1 lakh has escaped the assessment. Good news. By what time the assessment under section 147 should be completed? Now the point here is, how the answer is to be developed, just have a look at. As per the provisions of section 149(1), notice under section 148 could have been issued till 31/3/2012. Hence the notice issued on 31/3/2012 is a valid notice. So when you read any question, how many answers you have to have? First, they are testing the knowledge of you, whether you are able to judge whether the notice is a valid notice or not. Then the question of the next issue of when the assessment has to be completed. Reassessment under section 147 can be completed up to 31/3/2013. How come 31/3/2013? From the end of the financial year in which the notice is issued. Earlier it is 9 months, now it is 12 months. 12 months means it runs till 31/3/2013. That is the second bit. What is the third bit? See, even after student have got the knowledge, why he will fail is lack of proper observation. What they are asking in the question? 3 bits are there involved in that particular question. One is checking the knowledge of the students with respect to the time limit for issuing of the notice. Second is a time limit for completion of the assessment. Third, now what is it? That is, can he take up any other issue? We have studied an amendment stating that while carrying out the reassessment, if any other matter comes to the notice of the assessing officer, he can also take up that particular issue also. There is no need for making a fresh notice being issued is a point. So, put together everything is to be completed before 12 months from the end of the financial year in which the notice is issued. Now, I come to the next example. Example 4. For assessment year 2006 and 7, the assessment was completed under section 143(3) on 31/3/2008, assessing the income at rupees 2 lakhs. On 30th/5/2013, the assessing officer notices that income of 9 lakhs has escaped the assessment for the assessment year 2006 and 7 and issues a notice under section 148 on that particular date. The notice served on the SSC on 10th June 2013. By what time should the assessing officer complete the reassessment under section 147? So, first carefully observe the dates. This is pertaining to which assessment year? 2006 and 7. When the assessment got completed? On 31/3/2008. Perfect. Within 2 years they completed. Now, what is the income that is found to be escaping the assessment? 9 lakhs. That means more than 1 lakh. So, 6 years time is there. 6 years time means what? 8th March, 9th March, 10th March, 11th March, 12th March, 13th March तक उन्हों notice दे सकते. Now, when the notice is served on 10th June 2013. Now, let us look at the answer. As per the provisions of section 149(1), notice under section 148 could have been issued only up to what time? 31/3/2013. So, notice issued on 30th/5/2013 is a time barred and it is invalid. So, based on an invalid notice, any assessment that you do is also invalid. So, it is not possible. Like that, first you have to check whether the notice is a valid notice. If that is the okay, then only you have to answer what is it. Your assessment has to be completed by what time. Other way around, it is like this. Statistics department, some person from statistics department has gone to a house. There is a questionnaire. In that questionnaire, it is first question is, when you ask ladies, you ask the first question whether you are married or not. Only when the answer for that question is yes, I am married, then you have to ask the next question, how many children you have. Now, this person is a new person. He has gone to one house and asked a lady whether you are married or not. Then she said no. He has put a tick on no. Now, my next question, madam, that is whether you have got any children, and if it is yes, how many children you have. Immediately she slapped this fellow. So, like that only, first question, if the answer is no, then there is no point in going to the second question. Right? See, now the audit reports for the financial institutions like banks and all, they are all a standard type. But while answering, you be careful. Otherwise, you are exhibiting your being careless. See, for certain questions, only if the answer is yes, you answer the following things. There, for the first point, if it is no, there is no need for answering these questions. Not applicable comes. But people will keep yes to no to the first thing, and subsequently they will try to answer the questions. So you have to be very, very careful. So these type of questions are tested in the exam, not that practically the life is like that, or other way around. Practically also sometimes what will happen, in the department also there are some people who will make a mistake. So they may issue notices after the time lapse and then carry out the assessment. Finally the expert and intelligent chartered accountant goes and says that notice itself is invalid. Where is the question of accepting the assessments? So next question is, next issue other way around is section 153A. What is 153A and 153C? Assessment in case of search cases. What is it, friends? These sections are amended with effect from 1/7/2012. What are the amendments? Section 153A and 153C of the Act lays down a procedure for assessment and reassessment in such cases. Presently, the notice for filing returns of income and assessment thereof has been given for 6 assessment year. Presently, if a case is taken up for search, the assessing officer should require the assessee to file the returns for individually for each year for that block period of 6 years. Now, the law is kind enough to say that you need not ask the SC to file the return for all the 6 years. You can very well ask the SSE to file a return of income once more for that particular year in which the search is being carried out. So it is now provided that central government can notify the cases or classes of cases where the assessing officer shall not be required to issue a notice for initiation of the assessment or reassessment proceeding for 6 assessment preceding assessment years, and proceedings may only be taken up for assessment year relevant to the year of search or requisition. So the period of commencing from the, now to this extent, first you please make note, that is section 153A and 153C. Central government can notify, central government can notify case or class of cases, case or class of cases where assessing officer, shall not be required to issue the notice for initiation of assessment or reassessment, proceedings for 6 preceding assessment years, and proceedings may only be taken up for the assessment year relevant to the year of search or requisition. Friends, I take up one more issue without much of a heading for it. Try to understand. Now the government is thinking about how to get the income of the resident assessees which is there in the foreign country back into India. Of course, you are Opposition says bring it at the earliest so that next time when we come to the power, we will have some money to carry out some activities. Is it so easy to bring back that particular money into India? No. First of all, I should know where it is, then only the question of bringing it. Even if I know where it is, can I bring the total amount back to India? No. Because your constitution nowhere stated that Indian citizens should not have assets outside India or bank accounts outside India. Only thing is how they got those assets, how that income they earn, is it an Indian income or a foreign income, is he a resident or a non-resident, so many issues are there. But not knowing all these things, people make a drama by saying that crores and crores of money of India is there in the foreign countries. Rehta. Unless crores and crores of money is there in the foreign countries, how Indians will be doing the business in the foreign countries? Is it wrong to have income outside India or assets outside India? No. But the only thing is, if it represents undisclosed income which should have been taxed in India, then only in respect of such income we are bothered. Overnight, all the citizens of India will not bring all that money into India is a point. See, here the point is exchange of information, double taxation avoidance agreements. We have got with so many countries the agreements for exchange of information with respect to the SSEs. So some doubt came. Now the assessing officer asked for the information from the foreign country. Naturally, it will take time to get that particular information. Then whatever the time lost in obtaining that particular information shall be excluded while calculating the time limit. In other words, it has to be in addition to that particular time limit. So, the period commencing from the date on which the reference for exchange of information is made by an authority competent under the agreement referred to in section 90 and 90A and ending with the date on which the information so requested, what we say, where immediately after excluding the above time limit, the period of limitation available for the assessing officer to complete the assessment falls less than 60 days, then such remaining period shall be extended by 60 more days and the above period shall be deemed to be extended accordingly. Now, this Greek and Latin is to be understood with an example. This is not an amended kind of situation like earlier also it is there. Now, a particular clause is being inserted to say that this exchange of information ke liye beche to bhi, because of that if your time limit got reduced and what is it, the remaining time that is available for completion of the assessment is less than 60 days, one more 60 days of extension can be given. See, take the amendment, write down the period, time limit for completion of the assessment, time limit for completion of the assessment should be the heading. What is the amendment? The period commencing from the date, on which the reference for exchange of information is made by an authority competent under the agreement referred in section 90 or 90A and ending with the date on which the information so requested is received. In such situation, full stop and continuation. In such situation, by excluding the above time, period for obtaining the information, in case the period available for assessment or reassessment, in case if the period available for assessment or reassessment is less than 60 days, then such a remaining period shall be extended. Such a remaining period shall be extended to 60 days. Now let us look at an example. The assessment of measures XYZ for the assessment year 2011 and 12 is going on under 143.3. The Joint Commissioner has evidenced that the SC has received commission in Hong Kong in previous year 31/3/2011, which has not been disclosed by him. The Joint Commissioner under Tax Information Exchange Agreement entered with Hong Kong under Section 90 writes to the Hong Kong government to furnish the details of the bank account of the SC in Hong Kong. The request was made on 1/1/2012. The information is received by the Commissioner of Income Tax on 31/3/2013. So the time period for completion of the assessment under 143.3, that is 31/3/2014, shall be increased by, what is it, 1st January 2012 to 31st March 2013, or 1 year, whichever is less. Therefore, the assessment period shall be increased to 31/3/2014. First, let us try to understand what it is. This assessment is pertaining to which assessment year? 2011 and 12. It has to be completed within 2 years. That means up to 31/3/2014 it has to be completed. But what has happened? They have asked for the information from the foreign country, that when they asked on 1/1/2012 they asked, and on 31/3/2013 it is coming. Means almost how many months are lapsed? 15 months are being lapsed. Now 15 months, these 15 months are to be excluded. But in case if this time is more than 12 months, we say you should reduce only the 12 months only. So that made the answer maker to say that the time period for completion of the assessment under 143.3 is 31/3/2014 shall be increased by what? 1st January 2012 to 31st March 2013. That means, what is it, 15 months or 1 year, whichever is less only. So therefore, assessment period shall be increased to 31/3/2014. It should be taken as to 31/3/2015. Make it to 31/3/2015. 1 year means, actually you have to complete by when? 31/3/2014. 1 year means 31/3/2014. Is it 15 months you have to extend the period, or 1 year, whichever is less? So that made us to say it is 31/3/2015. Now I move to the next section, 153B. Section 153B has been amended by the Finance Act of 2012 and amended section is as under. So what is the time limit for completion of the assessment or reassessment under section 153? See, again I expect the students either to carefully listen or other way around, you please make a note. But let us first understand 153A, 153B. What is it? Normal period for assessment and what is the extended period kind of thing. See, point here is normally it is 2 years, and if transfer pricing provisions are there, then it must be taken as a 3 years, 12 more months. If a transfer pricing issue is there, 12 more months. So earlier it used to be 21 months and 33 months for that search assessments and all. Now it is being taken to 24 months and 36 months is a point. Now in case if you are able to remember it, then okay. Even if you don't write, it's okay. Time limit for completion of the assessment or reassessment under section 153A, in case a person referred to in section 153C. There what we are saying, for 6 assessment years immediately preceding the assessment year relevant to the previous year in which a search has taken place. And what is the time limit for completion of the assessment? 2 years from the end of the financial year in which the search is completed. And in case of books being asked for, then 1 year from the end of the financial year in which the books of accounts and the assets are handed over to the assessing officer, whichever is a latter. And in case if that involves such assessments involves transfer pricing, then it is 3 years, and in case of the books of accounts are being taken, then it is 2 years, whichever is a latter. So only thing is, I am concentrating only on amendments, means the point that should go into your mind is whatever may be the assessment, earlier period you have to increase by 3 months. Now quickly I move to the section 154 and 156. What is section 154, friends? What is section 154? What is section 154 is, these sections have been amended with effect from 1/7/2012. 154 is a rectification of a mistake. So these sections have been amended with effect from 1/7/2012. A statement of tax deduction at source is processed under section 200A and an intimation is sent to the deductor as provided under section 200A1. At present, there is no provision for rectification or appeal against the said intimation. See, intimation is not an assessment order. See, earlier the situation is what? Of course, when we discussed the TDS provisions also, I started with the intimation only. Please remember that 154 rectification of the order passed by the assessing officer. Intimation is not an assessment order, so there is no question of going for any appeal against such kind of intimations and all. Now what is stated, at present before the amendment there is no provision for rectification or appeal against the intimation, whether it is relating to the income tax return or the TDS return. But it is now provided that any mistake apparent from the record in the intimation issued under section 200A shall be rectifiable under section 154. So it is also provided that intimation issued under section 200A shall also be deemed to be a notice of demand under section 156, and an appeal can also be filed with the Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals under section 246A. But these things I am not asking you to write for the simple reason it is already being written when you have listened that particular TDS provisions. So the understanding, please keep it in your mind. Intimation today can be made, that is SC can make an application for any mistake which is there in the intimation, because intimation is a deemed demand and an appeal also can be made with the CIT appeals as a point. Now in actual practice, there is no considerable delay in passing the order under section 154. Normally, there is no much the moment I bring it to the notice of the assessing officer that there is a mistake in it, he will rectify it. That is the practice for the rectification of a mistake in any order passed by the assessing officer. It is therefore suggested that section 246A should be amended to provide that if rectification order is not passed by the assessing officer within 6 months from filing of such application, the SC will have a right to file the appeal with CIT appeals. So point here is that is only that we are suggesting it, but now they have made the point that if there is a mistake, if your assessing officer is not listening to rectify it, you can also go to the your Commission of Income Tax appeals. Now we will try to understand the same with a particular example. What is it? In the intimation received under section 143(1), credit of TDS rupees 2,50,000 has not been given and there is a tax demand of 2,50,000. However, TDS of rupees 2,50,000 has been deducted, which is the remedy available to the SSC. Like this, there is a possibility of a question coming in the CA final. Now, the expectation of the paper valuer is you present properly the answer and exhibit your knowledge. In this case, SC should make an application to the assessing officer under section 154. If he has filed a paper return or apply for rectification under section 154 to the central processing cell at Bangalore, if he has filed the electronic return for claiming the credit of TDS of rupees 2,50,000. So if you have made the return filing by e-filing, the application must be made to the CPC. If it is a manual return, to the assessing officer. Now, in the application, he should give the details of the TDS and can also attach TDS certificates for verification of the TDS claim. After verification of TDS certificates, assessing officer shall rectify the mistake under section 154 and a credit for TDS of 2,50,000 shall be given and demand under 143(1) shall be reduced to nil. That is how you have to present the answer. Then example 2. The SC filed a return of income and returned the income as under in the return and the acknowledgement of filing the return. Short-term capital gain 100 lakhs, tax at the rate of 30.9%, 30 lakhs 90,000, tax paid is 30 lakhs 90,000, refund payable is nil. Happy well the intimation came. Later on the SC noticed that actually this short-term capital gain is subjected to the tax not at 30.9% but at 15% plus educational cess. So it is not a mistake done by the department. It is a mistake done by the SSC himself while filing the return. Erroneously, he has paid more tax. He can always make an application for this. No intimation under 143(1) is received and return filed by the SC is processed under section 143(1) without any demand or refund. Now the SC later finds that short-term capital gain is taxable at the rate of 15.45% under section 111A. What is the remedy available? Happy well you make an application. First thing is you can make a revised return and or otherwise you make an application for rectification under section 154. These are the two things which we expect the students to write in their answers. Then the next example is for the assessment year, 2006 and 7, the assessment for the assessment year 2006 and 7, the assessing officer disallowed an expense P under section 143(3) by his order on 31/12/2008. Commissioner of Income Tax appeals by his order under section 250 dated 30th/10/2010 confirmed the disallowance of expense P made by the assessing officer. No further appeal is filed to the ITAT by the SSC. Subsequently, what has happened? Story properly understand karna. Subsequent क्या हुआ? Assessing officer disallowed, the SC has gone for an appeal and there also they have confirmed it. Then the SC is not going to ITAT, happy well slept. Later on, Supreme Court gave a judgment. In a similar situation, a similar kind of expense, they said it is allowable. Now the SC can he file a rectification application under section 154 to the Commissioner of Income Tax to rectify his order passed under section 250 and allow the expense P on the basis of the Supreme Court judgment? The answer for that is yes. Point here is very well, because of a subsequent Supreme Court judgment, if your order turns out to be a mistake, then you can make an application and it can be done up to what time? Up to 31/3/2015 is the point. So what is the financial year in which the order is passed? The financial year in which the order is passed is 2008 and 9. From then 4 years means what is it? 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, 13. And then the point here is we are saying that rectification order under section 154 can be passed by the Commissioner of Income Tax up to 31/3/2015. When the Commissioner of Income Tax has confirmed this 30th/10/2010, from what is the financial year ending? 2011 March. So 12 March, 13 March, 14 March, 15 March. So in this particular case, the rectification application can be done till 31/3/2015, not from the original assessment order. When it is being confirmed by the CIT appeals, from the end of that particular financial year, 4 years you have to calculate as a point, friends. Next, friend, you have another example. This is the beauty part. Unless you try to take few examples from the resourceful persons books like Ahuja, Vinod Gupta and Vinod K. Singhania, there you have to see all the illustrations. Then only these time limits you can remember. Because generally, when we have a fear, always we should first take away that fear from our mind. Then only you go to the exam. What is exam, friends? Please tell me. You yourself is saying that I studied very well, kindly test me. That is called as exam. Many times students comes to me and say that we got the eligibility to write the exam. I always tell them that don't bother about to which exam you are eligible. First bother about whether your preparation got completed or not. Other way around, whoever pays 1600, institute is going to send a hall ticket. Right? One student comes to me and say that, sir, I am applying for both groups. When you started preparation? 3 months back, sir. How many papers you have to write? 7 papers in IPCC. Why you have applied for 7 papers? She says, I got the attempt, sir. And my parents are asking me to make an attempt. What kind of attempt it is? Without preparation, making an attempt is equivalent to suicide. Right? You are disturbing your chances. Please don't do that.